Hey everyone, this is Philip, and as usual, welcome to the PHILLIP Show. Now grab your coffee, because we have an awesome show today. So as you may or may not know, this is June, and in June, the PHILLIP Show has partnered with YS Pride, and is the media sponsor of YS Pride this year to bring you amazing stories from within and surrounding the LGBTQ plus community. And this particular series is called Inspiring Stories That Transcend. The goal of this entire month is to provide advocacy, awareness, and education, and put faces with sometimes narratives, and I've said this before and on different shows, sometimes people don't know a certain person's life or their journey. So they create a narrative that makes sense to them. And often that narrative is just wrong. So we are here to share some stories, share some life experiences, share some, knowledge nuggets with our entire audience and our entire community to put faces with these journeys. And today is no different. So I'm super excited to have today Jessie, and we are going to be joined right now. So please help me welcome Jessie. Hey.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I am doing pretty good. So how are you doing?
I am fantastic. Just another busy weekend.
Yeah. This weekend it's going bananas. The weather's doing something crazy. I don't know what its life is figuring out, but I'm sure it'll figure it out. So this entire month is Pride Month, and I want you to be able to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, I'm Jessie. I am a transition female to male. I just started my transition a year ago, April 24th.
Okay.
Very kind of late in life. I'm 39, will be 40 actually in June.
Okay.
So it's a little later, but I grew up in a really small town, super religious family. It was one of the reasons I waited so late. I was terrified to tell my parents, even at almost 40 years old. They now know.
Okay. And if they don't, now they know.
They know.
So let me ask you this, because this is something that I get asked often from some of our viewers, particularly surrounding the topic of LGBTQ, specifically trans. So when you were younger in your journey, how did you know who you were? And was there an interim, was there an interim time where you said, you know what, I don't identify as a woman? Do you identify as gay? Where is the line?
So I don't know which one you want. You want when I knew that I was born in the wrong body?
When you knew that you were born in the wrong body, and now that you have transitioned, you are dating.
My partner is a lesbian, and she still identifies as a lesbian. So basically, we just say queer because it just blankets everything.
Gotcha.
Because my transition does not define her sexuality.
Got you.
So she's still a lesbian in my eyes, and I mean that's how she identifies, and I support her wholly. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. So I just tell everybody now, because I'm still trying to get used to everything. So I just. I'm like, I just go with queer. It just blankets everything, and yeah.
So that's just a good universal kind of title, if you will.
Yes.
Got you. So coming from a lot of stories have often involved coming through a very religious family. How was it for you in your navigation of, hey, I think I'm supposed to be someone else, and then getting to the point where you say, yes, that's who I am?
It was hard. It still is. I still question it. I mean, and I'm not in church anymore.
Sure.
I've kind of pulled myself away from church because of you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to, I was raised Pentecostal is the denomination, which most people know we're a little crazy. But it's very, very frowned upon.
Sure.
LGBT, anything. It's,
Yeah.
I was raised that you're going to hell, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You can't do this, you can't do that. And so there was a lot of like, I can't be who I am, and I'm trying to force myself to be straight and the 2.5 kids with the white picket fence and the man that takes care of me. And if there were times where death sounded just sweeter than trying to
Mm.
be what everyone wanted me to be. So um, that is not as near as bad. It's just still trying to grasp everything that's burnt into your mind as a child of doing this, that, and the other. And trying to get away from that and be who I am. As I go, my partner's very supportive. My mom is now like, she's gotten older and we've talked, and she's still like, she's older and trying to get her to change her mindset and how things work. But it's working. She's more accepting. My father was, I just lost my dad in December, but
Oh,
he
I'm sorry.
was. Yep, I had told them, I came out to them about being transitioned, and he was like, "Well, you're my kid, and I love you anyway," and that's all I have to say about it. And I'm like, "All right, cool." Like, so, um, yeah, I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that he knew before he passed, because that would have been really ate me up, honestly, because I'm always been very honest with my parents.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, did you have to come out twice? Like once to say I'm queer and then again to say, and I'm transitioning?
Yes.
Oh, no,
So
not the twofold.
my parents found out I was gay when I was 18. I was kind
Okay,
of
when
like
you're 18.
yanked out of the closet. There was no, um, my mom disowned me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she disowned me for a little while. Um, my father is the one that told her that either she accepts it and deals with it, or he's leaving too. So it was a very long conversation I had to have with the two of them and my sister. My sister really helped with transitioning everything with my parents. Of like, listen, I'm still the same. I'm still the same person. I haven't changed. I just prefer females. And then now with me transitioning, she keeps apologizing when she uses the wrong pronouns, and I'm like, it's fine. Like, it's a whole learning curve for me too. But she's been very supportive and very just trying to make sure my nieces and nephews, which are all older, use the right pronouns. And I've got a great niece that they call me. She calls me Uncle Jessie. So
Because, wait,
it's
what
just
is it? What's the word?
she calls me Ankle. It's just a mix between aunt and uncle, because my nieces and nephews still call me aunt. They're trying to transition to uncle, and they're having a hard time with it because the
Yeah.
youngest is 17. So,
Oh, wow.
um, yeah. So the great niece just calls me Ankle Jessie, and I'm like, it's fine. I'm pretty okay with that. Like, whatever. People have a problem with it, they can just continue to have a problem with it. It's not gonna
Sure.
matter.
Yeah. So how is it now that you're transitioning socially? How is that experience kind of going, and is it getting any easier?
It is. I have a great group of friends, and I work for a really fantastic company. Actually, I haul steel for a living. So the stereotype of truckers hate everyone um, is not true.
Not true.
It's a very small community. It's not just my trucking company, but the guys I work with that drive for other companies, they all know, and they are doing their best, like I said, to use pronouns, the correct pronouns. And I mean, they've never treated me different. I've been doing this for 5 years now. They've never treated me any different than anyone else. Um, so I'm very grateful for that. Like, I've always just been one of the guys that them. I'm no different. I go and I do my job. They do their job. We joke around, and we go. And
Yeah.
they've been really good about trying to use the correct pronouns. And one of the guys I work with has become like my brother over the last few years, and he really is like, you really need to say he, like, and because I just get tired of correcting people. I'm like, what, when they make mistakes, I don't feel like I'm constantly calling them out and making them feel bad. They're trying their best. And then he has told some of the guys, like, hey, Jesse's transitioning, you need to say he now instead of she. And they're like, oh, I didn't know, I'm so sorry. Or they'll come and ask him, like, what do I call Jesse? And like, just call him Jesse. He'll answer. You know, it's fine. So,
Yeah.
but they've been really, really good about it. My boss has made sure everyone in the office is using the correct pronouns when I call, and this is the second actually employee he's had transition, so he's very,
Oh wow.
very open-minded about it. So I got very blessed in that situation.
Wow, that is a blessing because there are so many stories where it goes completely the other way. You know,
Yes.
completely the other way. So you're in your relationship now. Tell me, how did that come about?
Actually, Tinder.
Ah, not Tinder.
we,
Hold on.
we
Let me download. Hold on. Okay, go.
yeah, we met on Tinder.
Okay.
So it was supposed to honestly just be a hookup and done. And here we are a year and a half later. I was
A
going
year
through
and
a
a half.
divorce. Yep. I was going through a divorce and she was finishing up her degree, and we just both needed a distraction and ended
And
up,
you've
it
been
just,
distracted for a year and a half.
yes, very happily distracted for a year and a half.
Happily distracted. Come on, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to get a T-shirt when I'm not single that says happily distracted. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So I know that there are a lot of different stereotypes and misconceptions when it comes to being transgender. What are some of the stereotypes that you've sort of had to face or that you became aware of for the first time going through the process that you've gone through?
One of the biggest ones that I get is that I hate men.
Oh,
And yeah, I'm like, I don't hate men. Like, I actually, most of my friends are men. But that's like one big one that is an assumption right off the bat is I automatically hate men. And
oh
like,
wow.
I've never hated guys. I actually envy them, considering my entire life I've been trying to be one. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
uh, a lot of it was when I first actually started testosterone. Most people thought they were waiting for me to like lose my mind and get really angry, and that never happened. I never had
Okay.
mood swings. I've talked to other trans men; they've never had them either.
Hmm.
Like you get angry a little faster, but nothing like you hawk out and start throwing stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm just that was one of the ones that I'm like I don't. That's really unlike me to do anyway. I don't see
Hmm.
that happening. And then actually just had a friend of mine start his transition, and that was one of the things he was worried about. And we had a full conversation. I said, I've never had that problem. I don't think you will either. Um, so, and he's 46. So, yeah. But yeah, he's like, I'm just really scared about it. And I'm like, don't be scared. You're fine. You're not gonna,
Yeah.
if you do call me on the phone, we'll talk. You can yell at
Yeah.
me if you need to, but I never had that problem. That was so. I mean, I
It
don't know if
could
that's
be
a good stereotype to me, but
it could be one of those outliers that's not a universal experience, but the misconception would be that's what happens all the time.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. When you are thinking of, you had mentioned when you were talking about church, you had kind of alluded to you're still trying to wrap your mind around it and be okay. I'm paraphrasing a little bit.
Yeah.
Not so much in church, but you're still getting your footing, if you will. How much more are you comfortable now with the decision to be yourself, and what areas would you like to see yourself improve or to get more clarity?
Well, to be honest with you, we've had a little bit of a setback. So, um, there's a lot of things that have happened in the last 5 months. I lost my dad. I
Hmm.
lost my nephew 2 weeks ago, and it's one of those things that being raised in the type of church that I was, God punishes you for doing things that you're not supposed to do by taking things away you love. So there was a little bit of a struggle with that of am I being punished for being who I think I'm supposed to be?
Hmm.
Um, I'm doing better with it because I know that that's not why. I mean, we all um, just we have in my mind, this is my opinion. We're born with a death date, and that's the only thing that's the inevitable. Life in between is just a bunch of chaotic, fun uh, adventures.
Yeah.
But the only thing that is certain is your birth date and your death date. And I'm like,
Mm.
you know, my nephew was only 25, and I'm like, it was just his time to go. And I have to keep reminding myself, God's not punishing me. Like, he, you know, I refuse to believe that there is any kind of powers that be above us that would punish us, um, and want us to be miserable. And
Sure.
that is the one thing that I keep reminding myself. If God is supposed to be so loving, then why would he be so cruel at the same time? Um,
Sure.
and so I just refuse to believe that. I have my own belief sets of higher power, and I'm, whether it be God or Buddha or whoever, I don't know. I just try to live my life the best I can and try to go in the path that I feel I should be in.
Sure. And let me ask you, this is a hard question, because
Okay.
I grew up in, well, I mean, I'm still in church, but I grew up very similarly, very strict, and very interpretive of what I was told the Bible says and means. And then as I grew older and as I had my own experiences and kind of discovered things for myself, I was like, oh, that's your perspective. God, got it. You know, and then we just called it a denomination. But coming from church, would you say that church and being in church has really negatively stunted your progress when it comes to you living your own life and being your best self?
It has a lot to do with it. I mean, as well
Okay.
as I'm originally not from Ohio. I'm from a very small town in the eastern shore of Maryland, where
Oh,
they're very still backwards. They're very, like, everything closes at 8 o'clock at night.
yeah,
Nothing's open on Wednesday because there's church, and nothing is open on Sunday other than the gas station and McDonald's, and that's it.
yeah.
It's very, very small town, so like that, I was not. I didn't know what gay was until I was a teenager. I didn't understand it.
Hmm.
Even though, we had Sally Jesse Raphael and we had Oprah and we had, Ricky Lake and all those shows, and they would constantly have drag queens and trans and gay people on there. It didn't click in my head.
Yeah.
Like, um, so I think a lot, the two of those hand in hand, just very small religious town and being in church, just did stunt a lot of it.
Yeah. So now, where you are now, where do you find, I guess, where do you find the courage and where do you find the strength? Where are you filling yourself up to remain as confident as you are and to be as confident as you want to be?
I have an amazing partner that backs me. I have two fantastic daughters and their mom, which help me push forward to not be silent and sit in the back, but to educate people. My biggest
Hmm.
thing is I try to be educational about things that are going on, because people have questions and they don't know how to ask them, and they get embarrassed, and it ends up coming out the wrong way. Um, I find most people are not trying to be offensive. They're just trying to educate themselves, and they don't know how. So that I find my strength in that, of I can teach someone something and maybe get them in the right direction of, this is why when somebody tells you this is their pronouns, that you use their pronouns. It's, and why they lash out on you when you use the wrong ones. It's not you, it's just the 50 other people that have done it before you that were doing it to be demeaning to them. Um,
Yeah.
and because you messed up, like, and it was an honest accident, it hurts. And after a
Hmm.
while you just break, I'm like, so I find I try to gather a lot of strength in educating people that I talk to on a daily basis, trying to get them to understand more and to have them be open-minded. um, my girls are teenagers. One actually just graduated high school, and
Oh,
so, like, yep, my oldest baby graduated. I feel old.
yeah.
So, like, just having them and seeing where we've come as a society, and the acceptance, like, from high school from them, it's nice to see that we've evolved. And instead of making somebody feel like when they're 14 and say, I think I'm gay, oh no, it's a phase, that people are
Mm,
accepting and be like, okay, well, we could talk about this, and whatever you need to do, I'll support you. Like, I'm
yeah.
taking my oldest to Chicago Pride. It's going to be her first adult Pride. And then we're going to take the 15-year-old to either Dayton or Cincinnati, or if Yellow Springs has theirs, we'll be there too. But, just so they can be a part of the culture and see and celebrate.
Yeah. I think that is awesome, and I love the fact that you are exposing your children to the culture. How was the transition with your children, and what was their response to the all of it?
So they're fine with it. They're not biologically mine.
Okay.
So their mom and I sat down and talked to them, and they were completely understanding. So they have two younger siblings as well that I hang out with and whatnot, and my partner and I do stuff with him as well. And they know, they're 9 and 10. Yeah, they're 9 and 10. So it's explaining it to them so that they understand it. They're pretty much like, oh, okay, cool, and it doesn't bother them either way. So yeah, their mom, like I said, their mom and I and my partner sat down. We talked to them about it. They're like, okay, so what do we call you? And I'm like, they always just call me Jessie. I'm like, just Jessie, and you just he. I was like, if you mess up and say she, I'll still answer you. It's fine.
Now,
I actually have one of them with me right now.
You said what?
I have one of them with me right now.
Oh, hey, one of them.
Hey.
Hey. So have you ever, when somebody asked you, what do you want me to call you, or things like that, has that ever kind of caught you off guard?
No.
Like, if you ever stop, be like, oh, like you're living your life and you forget that people have to understand and be educated. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, call me this.
Oh yeah. And sometimes when they do, I'm like, what? Like, I'm just out, like, doing my own thing, and they were like, yeah, he wants this, and I keep walking, and they'll say my name, and I'm like, oh, because I've gotten so used to just living in my own head about it that, and I'm like, oh yeah, you were talking about me, okay.
Yeah, I would imagine, that's interesting. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, okay. So besides all this, what are some things that, because there's also stereotypes of, hobbies and things. I know you drive a truck and all of that. What are some things that you just like to do?
Things that I like to do.
Yeah.
Ride my motorcycle.
Oh, and there's a motorcycle, y'all. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I was actually in the parade last year. I was the only motorcycle in the parade last year.
Really?
That was the half gay flag, half trans flag.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So mostly just, I do a lot with my family. I don't really know. I don't really have any hobbies, to be honest with you. I like to sing. I like to drive.
Okay.
I like to drink beer.
Okay.
And I like food.
Oh, you like food?
Oh, I love food.
What's your favorite? What's the favorite food here?
Favorite food here?
Yeah.
Honestly, probably Miguel's. I love his burritos are amazing. Yes,
they are. I always get the bowl.
Yeah.
I always get a bowl. Yeah, I'm like a creature of habit. So if I get one thing that I like, I get it every time.
Yeah.
So I always get the steak bowl. I'm going to have to venture out and get a burrito. I don't think I've had one, but yeah, I love Miguel's. Yeah.
And honestly, if you like ramen, there is a fantastic little restaurant. I think it's the best hidden restaurant in Springfield. It's called Speakeasy Ramen.
Speakeasy Ramen.
Yes.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yes.
I normally know of ramen noodles.
Yeah. Well, it's actual, like,
the official. It's official.
Yeah, the official ramen.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're amazing.
What would you say?
Place.
You said, what would you say? I know that there's going to be a lot of people watching, and there are going to be some people that have received clarity right now and been educated on some misnomers, some assumptions. But for those people who may be looking either to transition themselves or just wondering, they might be at the point where it's like, I just don't know. What advice would you give somebody that may be in that position?
Find a support system, even if it's just one person. Just all you need is one person. That's all I needed. was one person, and then you'll see that your support system will grow.
Mm.
Talk to a counselor, like just weigh out your options. It's, if you feel like the scale is tipping towards you doing it, then I would assume that you probably should just go through and just be yourself, live who
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah. So, yeah, be you, be who you are. I want to ask this question because it came up with your answer. It made me think about it in your answer. There can be a misconception that because you know who you are before you transition, and then once you do, it seems to get easier. Is that true?
It has for me, I feel. First, oh, sorry, I dropped you.
That's okay.
First couple of months was a little difficult. And now it's just, I think it was because I was trying to see the changes and there wasn't any. And
Okay.
now I am seeing the changes. I am, getting more facial hair. My voice has gotten deeper. I've gotten bulkier. I've always been really big built, so that I was just kind of waiting to fill out, fill out more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I
So
don't know.
does
I'm feeling more like me, which is making it
yeah.
easier. Like every day is something different. So
Yeah, well, it's definitely a discovery, and it's definitely a journey, and every single day is a journey. And I think as we get to the point where we become more comfortable with ourselves, and like you said, just be yourself. As you get to that point where you're just, you know what, this is me, and you get further and further down that road, there'll still be hiccups and there'll still be life challenges, but I think the mentality of resting in your own personhood, like you can go to bed and be like, I'm me today.
yes.
I was me today, instead of, living life as if it's a play and you're putting a character on stage and you don't want to be that character anymore.
No, that is probably the best way I've ever heard that put. And that is 100%. Every day you are not yourself. It is just another show of
Yeah.
who everybody wants you to be. But yeah, like I try to focus a lot every day on one positive thing. If, one person used the correct pronouns, then I'm happy. To be honest, my biggest thing right now is my mom actually referred to me as my girls' dad in a Facebook post, and it shocked me. And I was just like, wow, because her thing has always been like, you'll always be my daughter. And I'm like, you don't understand. I never was.
Yeah.
I don't care what the doctor told you I was born as. I was never really your daughter. I've always been your son. It's never
Mm,
changed. And she's
that is
coming
good.
around to understanding it more now. So, but yeah, like when she did that, that was like a big win for me for like at least a good week. Like I don't care what bad things happen, I will go back to that and it will put a smile on my face.
Wow.
So,
Well, I'm glad you had that experience and it can stay with you. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's huge. And I love
that
what you
is,
just said. Well, what you just said resonates with so many people, because you're like, I've never been your daughter. That is such a huge concept for people to ingest, and kind of like, oh, this isn't something that happened like yesterday.
yep.
It's like I've always been this person. I just let you in on,
Mm-hmm.
I just clued you in on who I am. That is very powerful, and I'm so glad that you have so much support and that you're on your own personal journey and you're being successful with it, and you see the value in really empowering other people and giving them support as well. I think that is awesome, and I'm glad that you're here today sharing your story. And if you are in Yellow Springs on the 26th, it's on the 26th of June. So June 26th is Yellow Springs Pride, and it starts at 12 o'clock at Antioch Midwest. So that's the parade, and we have a whole day of just shenanigans.
Well, I live in Yellow Springs.
And
So,
okay, so there
yeah.
you are. So
Yep,
we
I
will
live
have
in Yellow Springs.
Okay, that's
So,
even better. I
yes.
don't know why didn't I know that?
I don't know.
I think I should have caught it when you said Miguel's.
Yep.
Huh.
It's okay.
Well, that's a nugget.
I live on the, well, technically I live on the outskirts in the country part of Yellow Springs, but yeah, we do live in Yellow Springs.
Oh, well, what's up, neighbor?
What's going on?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing you here at home then.
Yes, me too. I
Yeah.
can't wait till the 26th.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
glad they're
awesome.
putting
Well,
them.
you said what?
I'm glad they're putting it on this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be outstanding. So, well, thank you for sharing your story and sharing your time with us. And I can't wait to see you on the 26th. And I'm sure that you'll get some cameos here and around town after we air this. So it's gonna be great.
Probably. Thank you for having me, and
You're
thank you
very,
for
very
doing
welcome.
this. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Everybody, that was Jesse, and I hope that you were encouraged by his story, by the journey, by the responses, and by the truth of what our journeys bring. And just remember, it's a common thread throughout all of these shows. Be authentic, be proud of who you are, and be yourself. We will see you next time on The PHILLIP Show. And remember, you are the best you in the world. We'll see you later.